Hi, I'm very happy to be here today at the Digital Intimacies Conference. I am Jessica Pidoux. I will present you my paper entitled A Comparative Study of Algorithmic User Classification Practices in Online Dating, a Human Machine Learning Process. The idea is to present you what I formalize as a process between humans and machines that are communicating through the categories that dating app have established for users to describe their sexuality. So I'm Jessica Pidoux, postdoctoral researcher now at the CEE in Sciences Po Paris, and I'm also director of the NGO personaldata.io in Switzerland. This is a paper that is published in Porn Studies journal, and soon it's going to be available a special issue about porn, sex, and big data that is coordinated by Rebecca Saunders. And thanks to her work, I published this paper that I will present you today. First, a brief overview on the online dating phenomena. Actually, it has a broad outreach. In demography, studies have shown that 20% of Swiss adults are in a relationship with somebody they met online. 14% of French adults have used a dating app, according to the last survey. And in United States, it's much more. 46% have used a dating app of US adults. In the economy, the dating industry is well established. It's present in the stock exchange via brand agglomerations like the Match Group that own over 40 dating apps. And in the technology industry, now we can find more than 9,000 mobile dating apps in the Apple Store, in the Play stores as well. And to give you an example, Tinder is the most downloaded dating app in the mobile stores today, with around 56 million of users in 190 countries. So what I'm going to talk to you about is how we are classifying human sexuality on dating apps. And the major issue is that dating app structures, when I talk about structures, I'm talking about the profile page where you create your account and you have to describe yourselves. These structures contribute to sexual datification that, as defined by Rebecca Saunders, is codifying users' desires into a visual, structural, and linguistic order while directing the audience gaze. And this is very well established now in the data economy, or also called the attention economy. So datification, I claim, is possible thanks to the use of variables that are defined with categorical and numerical values for algorithmic processing. So in other words, when we create algorithms for matching on dating apps, you have to establish first which variables are going to take as input these algorithms in order to produce a recommendation or an output that is programmed in advance by the developers or the app produces the company itself. So my focus is the perspective of the user. How dating app users make sense of predefined categorical structures and their underlying classification processes. Here's an example. To be more concrete, the dating app Romeo or Planet Romeo, when you create an account, you have to describe first your gender, man, trans woman, non-binary. You have to define also your orientation. So your sexual orientation can be gay, bisexual, queer, other. You can also specify no entry, so you don't disclose this information. But this no entry is also a classification, a category that is going to process the algorithm. And then below you can see other variables like height, weight, your preferred position in sex, your body type, your body hair, your dick size, if you prefer safer sex with condom or not, and if you're a smoker. So these are all variables that are defined with categorical values. And to give you an example, you can also go beyond the body description. Of course, dating apps go also into your political orientation, into your psychology. Here is OkCupid that asks the questions, do you enjoy discussing politics? And they even go further because they ask the user if you can actually to assign the importance of every variable. So here, if you define that yes, you enjoy discussing politics, you can also say the importance it's a little, somewhat, or very. So how did I study this human machine learning process? My method is mainly situated interview studies that I conducted based on Garfinkel's ethnomethodology. And here the important is actually that I wanted to understand how users make sense. And this making sense means the methods, the actions that users apply themselves in their daily practice to understand the app, the algorithms, their sexuality, their bodies, and also others' attractiveness and how they define themselves. So my method was mainly collecting data, qualitative data from 40 interviews conducted with dating app users, 25 male users and 15 female users. I use this binary definition as they have to declare it in the dating app. Also, you can also enter your gender. Actually, what the algorithm is interested in is in your sex in a binary way. So these participants were resident in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, cities, mainly the city of Lausanne. 29 participants were seeking a relationship or a friendship, any goal that they declare with the opposite sex, 11 with the same sex, and 3 sought both sex. And the mean age was 32 years old, and the range of the participants were between 20 and 66 years old. I conducted semi-structured face-to-face interviews, and they were audio recorded, transcribed, and they were conducted between November 2018 and June 2020. In total, participants were using 26 different dating apps. It was also common to use multiple apps at the same time, usually 2 at least. And the 4 main apps used by the participants were Tinder, Romeo, the one I showed you, Parship, and Célibataire.ch. Célibataire, it's one main platform used in Switzerland that you can compare to OkCupid, actually. And the way I conducted my study was also following more recently what Sewist did in a study of algorithms. He considers algorithms as figures in line with Garfinkel for making sense of observations. So this is how I conducted my interviews. The participants were uh, with me using their phones, browsing profiles, creating a profile, and actually together they were interpreting the outputs of the algorithms and describe it to me, or also teaching me how to do something in the app or so. What I did more concretely is to actually provide a reciprocated perspective on online dating phenomena. And this is how I formalize my idea of a human machine learning process. So to put it in other words, I first see how the machine algorithmically thinks about humans through these classifications, and how humans on the other side learn to grasp what they think the machine algorithmically thinks about them. So this is a double perspective I developed in my thesis in 2021, and it was inspired by two main distinct works. Jenna Burrell in one side, that is describing actually how classification algorithms work, and on the other hand, Matteo Pasquinelli, who it's explaining also how machine learning uh, things about society, and it's describing society through mathematical operations. What I do is that I take, let's say, the other way around. I consider how users are interpreting actually the algorithmic processes that they are getting in the app through the categories that are visible. Here is a representation of my process. Is that I see these links, these mediations of different actants in STS approach. I see the socio-technical processes that are happening and that are being in transformation, in translation between developers, matching algorithmic systems, users, and the matching systems, but also with the dating app interface. And as you see, there is a missing link between developers and users, but this is something I developed more in my thesis. So here I will focus on the interactions between the variables that are available in an interface. This is what you can see here in lifestyles, hobbies. You have to declare what's your, if you like dancing, taking pictures, reading, doing sports. And then up, you can see an extract of the Tinder's patents actually, where I want to show that there's an important interaction that is happening between the materiality of dating apps, the server, the storage that is required, the device here, of course, an old computer, but think also about a smartphone. And then you also have databases that are registering users' behavior to be able to create a match. And finally, here where you see the 84 uh, heart score is a level of compatibility that the platform gives you as an output uh, based on the answers that you have given with an app. So here is a whole cycle of interactions between what you introduce as your behavior, as your description in a profile page, then how the system and different users, different actants are processing this information in order to give you an output that is here, the score that is visible again on the user interface. So what are users doing? How they make sense of all these classification processes that are available on a dating app? So what I did in my paper is that I took all the affordances that are present in dating apps, in different dating apps. This was a quantitative study that I did in my thesis, and I put this in perspective with how users use the platform. And affordances are, by design, possibilities of actions in an interface. For example, the like button is an affordance. It sends a like to a profile. And I observed all these interactions between the affordances and the users while they were creating a profile or browsing profiles to find a potential partner. And I identified 5 different practices: elicitation and omission, profiling, swipe and reactivity, allusion, and hesitation. For this presentation, I will show you 3 practices. The first one is elicitation and omission. Here, this is used, first elicitation means that users confirm who they are and who they are not through the categories that are available in a profile page. And this declaration means projecting an image to display to others for being seen and being selected. So it's a two-way action. And here is a citation of a user that explained. I check the photos. I think it is the age, the photos. I think that is not insignificant either. The fact that I'm presenting myself as university staff means that I'm not a bricklayer. It's sad to say, sometimes I see myself too. I think I project myself and I say to myself, no, but me with a plumber, he may be pretty, but it's not going to happen. It's not insignificant that Tinder allows this kind of thing to be displayed. So I just put that I'm a student at the university, but people can really put their job, their company. So if I want someone working at Nestle, a company, there you have it. It is important then for users to display who they are in order to be identified, to be selected, but also to avoid being in other classifications. And what happens as well is the opposite mechanism that it's called omission. It's not declaring specific information to avoid being classified in a way that will disqualify the user as a potential date. Here's an example. This was a user on Bumble. As you can see, I can put in my job or fill in other information, which I don't do. Hate is important to all girls, as always. Smoking, I started again. Dogs, I don't care about them, so I don't answer about dogs. Politics, religion, star signs, and kids. I don't fill in the zodiac because I'm a Scorpio, and a lot of people hate Scorpios. So here, the important thing to show is that actually users build their common sense knowledge within the app, learning about the representations of others and how they assume that they have a common social world in order to elicit or omit certain information. The second practice is profiling. And it means building personal inferences to classify users, to form an opinion about them. It relies on declared categories provided by another user correlated with user experience. So it means that users select what is available in the platform by design, but they also correlate these categories actually according to the past experiences in the app or outside the app. And this is what allows them to build a common sense to go beyond the 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 reduction of the category as it is expressed in the app. So this user says it's the same keywords that often reappear on the site. Anarchist, political, feminist, vegan, it's crazy. Extreme right or anything political. Capitalism too, it is repeated all the time, you see. Overflow, the bourgeoisie, patriarchy, it's always coming back. Generally, there's a style of personality on OkCupid. Even the questions users display frequently are, if I were to be sent to jail, I would be arrested for. There are quite few people who are a bit militant, so they typically display that question. It's people who belong to a rather specific type. There are more conventional ones, there are less conventional ones. And this is interesting because what I show is that users bring their own conventions, their own social conventions on how to typify, and this is also coming from ethno methodology. We as social actors create types of people in order to interpret situations and to also create this common sense, having a social word that is common, assume as common to everybody. And what happens on dating apps is that people reinterpret these categories according to their experience and form type of personalities based on what they declare. Third practice I will present here is swiping reactivity. And this is a typical design that you can find on apps like Tinder, where the swiping gesture, it's used to say, I like a person or I don't like a person, to the left or to the right. And what happens is that this design creates a state of alertness. puts the users into a state of reactivity. There is a reaction to novelty that is very important. It creates excitement on the app. There is a rapid evaluation of profiles, one after another one. You can check a lot of profiles in very at fast speed, but in few seconds. So what users show is that sometimes there is a disassociation of the physical gesture from cognitive reflexivity. This user explains, I'm a little bit selective. Normally, you want to get rid of it as soon as possible because the girls are more picky than the boys. But if my mind can tell my finger, okay, don't do this, normally I stop, but it depends. And here, what I want to highlight is that algorithms cannot quantify the behavior of the users beyond what is declared on the app or what is established as an important variable to collect, even for example, connection time. What happens beyond this quantification of behavior online is that the users interpret signals that are available on the interface in their own ways and in their own practices that are built with other users online in when messaging, but also offline. Offline is an important step to validate if they like a person, but also to be a common culture of how dating practices, seduction happens on these apps. So my conclusion is that datification is directly linked to how algorithms are designed because these categorical and numerical values predefine the structure of how you can seduce and how you can define your attractiveness. Categories then enable the algorithmic logic to be readable to users because users have to define themselves and attract the attention of others through these categories. So users integrate algorithmic logic into the common knowledge. A new dynamic of dating and sexuality is created. Users integrate skills and knowledge related to calculation, explicitness, and optimization in a computational way. But this algorithmic logic is challenged or resisted by users thanks to their human capacities that go beyond mathematical operations. So online dating is a reality reduction of users' bodies and experiences by technical constraints of computers as they are developed today. Dating and sexuality is a reciprocal dynamic between algorithms and users. And here I put three main cycles of learning cycles is that algorithms are learning about humans while humans are learning about algorithms while humans are also learning about humans through the algorithms that calculate them. And finally, human adaptation to the machine is happening because we cannot go beyond the constraints of the design of the app, but also resistance is happening in there because users do not want to be classified, understand that the personal experiences go beyond this algorithmic calculation. So they really resist to algorithmic governmentality, as Rubro would say. And for this, actually, common sense knowledge is key. There is actual tension between human and technical expertise that I observed on dating apps. Thank you very much. I leave you here my contact and references.